Good afternoon. My name is Chris Konetsky. I'm the group publisher at Business Publications, which produces the Business Record and DSM Magazine. Welcome to our first Project 515 of 2023, which is being brought to you today by our presenting sponsor, Midwest One Bank, and our supporting sponsor, DLR Group. It's our goal to help you do business better, and you all are the reason that we do what we do, and this series is designed to do just that. Our Project 515 series of real estate and development-focused virtual events is going to dive deep into three specific subsections of the industry: retail, which we'll talk about today, office, which we'll be talking about in August, and housing later in December. The series has a goal of illuminating future challenges and trends throughout the year, while amplifying discussions with the region's key stakeholders that are doing business directly in the sectors, and with business leaders that are dependent on the health and vitality of the real estate industry. Coverage of these discussions is going to not just happen today with the discussion today, but will also be in both written and video form. It's going to be integrated across the Business Record and print within our weekly commercial real estate e-newsletter, which you should sign up for if you don't already get it, and of course on businessrecord.com and our social platforms. We've got a great panel lined up for you today to help you peer a little bit into the future and see what the retail sector holds for the future in 2023 and beyond. We've got a lot to discuss today, not a lot of time to do it, but before we get going, I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors that make this series possible. Our presenting sponsor is Midwest One Bank. They're being represented today by Devin Boyer, a Central Iowa Market President. At Midwest One Bank, community is at the heart of everything they do, and since 1934, the bank has embraced taking care of their customers in order to help their customers and communities succeed. Today, we've got a brief video from Midwest One. Go ahead and roll the video.
Hello, and welcome to the Project 515 series. I'm Devin Boyer, Central Iowa Market President for Midwest One Bank. We are so honored to be the presenting sponsor of this year's virtual event series focusing on real estate and development. At Midwest One, community is at the heart of everything we do. Since 1934, we have embraced taking care of our customers and those who should be, with our experienced banking teams and proactive approach to generate meaningful impact for our stakeholders. Midwest One Bank is committed to providing solutions and resources that will help you succeed. This commitment is one of the many reasons we are happy to support the Business Record's Project 515 series. On behalf of everyone at Midwest One Bank, thank you for having us, and please enjoy the event.
Thanks again to Midwest One for your sponsorship of the series and allowing us to be able to have these conversations. Up next is our supporting sponsor, DLR Group. DLR Group has been a supporting sponsor of Project 515 since its inception in 2021. DLR is a leading integrated design firm located here in the metro with offices around the globe and more than 1,000 design professionals. Their promise is to elevate the human experience through design, and I'm pleased to welcome today Nick Hansen, who's the mixed-use retail business development leader at DLR Group. Nick, welcome.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks to Business Record for continuing this impactful series. And yeah, DLR Group is proud to once again sponsor Project 515. As Chris mentioned, we're a global design firm with 30 offices across the country and internationally. We're fortunate to work with clients both locally and globally that are pushing the design envelope in the retail sector. Clients like Old Station Craft Meats and Waukee, Real Deal Pickleball, and one of the most successful retail centers in the world with Mall of America. All of them continue to partner with us to create destinations that people want to be. Nationally, we're seeing that retailers that just sell goods are having a hard time competing with e-commerce. But those that are creating experiences, spaces for people to unite, and promote a healthy lifestyle and community for their customers are thriving. The Mall of America attracts over 40 million people a year because it's a true destination for consumers, families, and now businesses who want to be associated with the mall and use those amenities that the facility offers. But even with that success, the mall's always looking to evolve and add more experiences with plans to break ground on the largest indoor water park in the country very soon. Retail is ever evolving, and I look forward to hearing from this panel of experts about where retail is going in our region. Again, thank you, and on behalf of DLR Group, we hope you all enjoy the program.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. And thank you for your insight and leveraging some of the expertise that you all have in this space as well. It's a great segue as we get ready to get our conversation going. So thank you. Well, we are here today, and how this is going to work in a moment. We're going to introduce our panelists, and we'll ask a few questions to get things going. But you all have a role to play as well today, too, in helping shape and guide the discussion. On the bottom of your screen, you're going to see there's a couple ways to interact with us: the Q&A feature and the chat option. You can enter questions in both places if you'd like. Feel free to do that. The team and Kathy and I will be looking at those questions and trying to respond to them as we can. In addition, you can also use the chat which you can do with the entire audience as well. You're seeing right now a link to the program in the chat as well, so you can see what's ahead and who the speakers are. So feel free to use that. If you could give our panelists a nice big welcome, use that chat function, say hello, give them a big round of applause. We're ready to get things started. So we've got a great topic that we're going to talk about today. The Greater Des Moines area has dozens of retail areas for residents and visitors to shop, from power centers featuring big box stores to strip centers to storefronts along high traffic corridors in urban and suburban neighborhoods. As we continue to emerge from the pandemic, retail, which was so greatly affected, of course, in the early stages, is continuing to transform and adapt, and leaders in the field are redeveloping aged areas, attracting new businesses to neighborhood districts, and creating new retail areas on vacant land. I know we've assembled a great group of leaders to do that and have that discussion with us today. So with us today is Jennifer Brown. She's the Executive Economic Development Director at the City of Waukee. Kara Kelso, she's the co-owner of Slow Down Coffee. Lauren Kollauf, the Executive Director of the Avenues of Ingersoll and Grand. Kuuku Saah, the co-owner of Mars Cafe. Christopher Shires, the principal with Confluence, and Meredith Young, the Vice President at JLL. Also with us today is Kathy Bolton. She is our commercial real estate reporter. She puts together the CRE Weekly e-newsletter. She's been with us for a number of years and is going to be leading the conversation today. Kathy, go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks, panelists, for taking time out of your busy days to join us, and thanks, audience, for also joining us. I think this will be a great discussion. Just a word, just so we all understand the meaning of retail. It includes the sale of goods and services to the public, but for our discussion today, it's also going to include restaurants and bars and breweries and coffee shops. So we're going to talk about the whole gamut. And we have our opening question, and we will start with that. What one word or short phrase would you use to describe today's commercial sector and why? And Jennifer, we'll start with you.
Thanks, Kathy. As Chris said, there's a lot of adapting going on in retail, and I chose experience focused, because I think the retail industry is going to continue to focus on that customer experience and really look at ways to continue to be creative in their physical spaces and make sure they're very fluid and keeping customers interacting with them online and also socially to really have that fluid and organic experience, and that will make them more profitable, but also look at locations where they will have other experiences, with the quality of life experiences in the community as well.
Thank you. How about Kara?
Hi, I chose neighborhood and community focused because, what we're experiencing and like why we chose, Highland Park is just because of the community. We love interacting with the people that live there, the infrastructure there, and not just the customers, but just how people live and experience things. And we just think that how it's being built up there, we're just seeing that continue to flourish. And I think that that's happening just everywhere in the city. Neighborhoods people are just interested in building that up. And I think Des Moines is just ripe with potential to build up neighborhoods elsewhere. And I think people are really excited about experiencing that.
Great. Thanks, Kara. Lauren.
Thanks, Kathy. The word I chose is locally driven. What makes a neighborhood shopping district like the Avenue so special is that you're able to have unique and one-of-a-kind retail and dining experiences that you really can't find anywhere else. We do have some national chains on our corridor, but I think what really makes our district special is all of the locally owned businesses and the locally based developers who are sort of leading the charge. I think the pandemic made us all realize that if we want our favorite local shops and restaurants to survive, we have to support them. So I think that really reinvigorated our love for neighborhood-based retail shopping and restaurant districts.
Great, thank you. Kuuku.
The phrase I chose is neighborhoods at the center of growth. Something that we're seeing nationally is there's been a migration from downtown to our neighborhoods. Post-pandemic, we're still not 100% occupancy for a lot of downtown areas, but something that we've seen is a tremendous amount of growth in our neighborhood retail areas, and that is expected to continue as more people work from home. More people working from home leads to increased expectations as far as activity within their neighborhoods. So we are starting to see a lot more activity within coffee shops. As Karen mentioned, we are seeing a lot more shopping within neighborhoods. We are seeing a lot more people having dinner and having lunch within their neighborhoods.
Great, thank you. Chris.
All right, Kathy, thank you. My word is fluid. Thank you, COVID, because we saw a rapid change to the retail environment in a very short time period. And we need to stay fluid and adaptable to changes I don't think we fully understand yet. Our retail demand, our customer preferences, I don't think we fully even understand what they want. And so as we continue to move forward, as we continue to adapt, we need to be flexible and fluid to react to changes.
Okay, thank you. And then Meredith.
So kind of, I like everything that everyone said, and then to kind of just put the icing on the cake is I'm going to use exciting, because to hit on all the points that everyone mentioned, put all of that together and combine it. And then I do think post, COVID and the pandemic, it has spurred a lot of excitement and energy and new activity. I mean, it's not slow right now. I mean, it's definitely picking up. We're seeing new concepts and, new people, wanting to venture out and do something. So I think it really sparked a lot of new innovations and, it put people into where they really want to take that leap forward, do something new. And so there's a lot of good things happening in our market right now. And I know that there's more to come. So at least from the brokerage perspective, I think putting all of these combined, it really is an exciting time ahead for us.
Great. And so Meredith, we're going to stick with you. You're involved with finding tenants for spaces in Ankeny in an area called Uptown, which is the original downtown area of Ankeny, but you're also in the new developing the district in Prairie Trail, finding tenants there. Sort of give us a little bit of a description of both areas and who's locating there and who's looking there to locate.
Yeah, so I'll start with Uptown Ankeny, and as you mentioned, it's interesting, it's Uptown, but really it's called Uptown, but it's located, in the heart of downtown Ankeny. And so, I mean, so super well established. I mean, it's been there forever. I mean, on the street, I actually used to live in Uptown Ankeny, and, the founder of Ankeny lived right across the street from the house that I was living in at the time. And so there's just so much history built behind that area. It's definitely more of an eclectic and has character of a development. I would say it definitely is attracting, more of your localized business owners and businesses, not seeing the, national traffic get there because it's just more inset in town. I mean, you don't really know Uptowns there unless you're familiar with the area, you've been there before, but it's definitely, I mean, you don't have that high visibility. So it's just, what's just so unique about it is how well it's supported, how much people want to be in Uptown Ankeny. I mean, you definitely have people that are like, I want to be in Uptown Ankeny and Uptown Ankeny only because of some of the things that everyone has built on is too talking about like the community, like Uptown Ankeny is just such inviting area. All the business owners, participate together. They have, specific events that are just in Uptown Ankeny, and then when I'll hit on Prairie Trail, I mean, they have events as well, but I mean, they're just different. And it's tailored towards that area. I mean, in Uptown Ankeny, you get so much of a draw because the farmers market's up there. I mean, you have the High Trestle Trail. So, I mean, you have a lot of the biking community that goes by. So, I mean, it's been really fun to see. Again, I moved to Ankeny I'm partial to Ankeny a bit here, so it's kind of fun though, but seeing the evolution of everything, when I moved here when I was a freshman in high school to where I'm at today, just to see how well everything's growing and kind of just the revitalization of local people who don't want to see, even though we have a lot of other new development in Ankeny, don't want to see Uptown Ankeny go away and still give it all the attention that, other areas are getting, but it's definitely more localized and, So it's just, it's an exciting time, you know, in seeing, you know, what we're getting, you know, now new construction is happening in Uptown Ankeny. So
in that new construction, Meredith, Mullets is going to be there. A Mullets, what are that area is becoming, probably because of the bike trail, a lot of restaurants and breweries, and there's a coffee shop there. Is that what you see that area developing more as, is more restaurants and breweries like that?
I do think you're going to get some more of that. I mean, obviously we have some of the, you know, specialty retail shops that have some certain goods, whether it's, you know, candy or, you know, floral and, you know, just you know, those items like that. But I mean, you definitely, I mean, I'm thinking in the, you know, some of the more recent things, you know, and recent could date back 5-10 years, but, you know, you're thinking you have, you know, Uptown Garage, who came, you know, the brewery tap room area that then they expanded, you know, the outdoor patio. So, I mean, that's been huge. And then you've got Fire Trucker, a staple for Uptown Ankeny, right on the bike path. Again, I mean, no food, but it's just, hey, for all the cyclists, it's just a really good spot to be. You've got Trailside Tap. You know, and yeah, with Mullets coming, I know there's other opportunities for additional restaurants and everything. So it's definitely a little bit of a destination spot where you just say, hey, let's go be in Uptown Ankeny and we'll go figure out what we want to do from there. That you don't necessarily have to know exactly where you want to go, that there's so many different little avenues that you can go to. If you want more localized area, you want something that's a little bit newer. I mean, it really can appeal to all age types and preferences in Uptown Ankeny. It just makes it so unique.
So move on to the district. Tell us a little bit about the district at Prairie Trail, because unlike Uptown, it's all new construction, all new development. But it's kind of got the old town feel to it.
It does. So yeah, so Prairie Trails really, it's an exciting project. Obviously it's newer, and, you know, just a plug for it here. So July 15th, they have their 15-year celebration event that's happening in the district at Prairie Trail. So to know, I mean, how far it's come in just these 15 years, obviously there was a bit of a hiccup in the development phase. Thought it would be done already by now, but I mean, what if you go there, it's pretty much almost complete at this point. Some little pockets here or there that have some areas to fill in, but you know, you had 2008 crisis happen, so that put a little halt to it. But I mean, if you go there, I mean, everything's new construction, of course. You know, you have tons of homes. I mean, 1,000 acres, mixed use development. So I mean, you've got, you know, some people think Prairie Trail is just what we consider the district. So the district being, you know, where you have the movie theater, the library, the hotels, all those mixed use 2-story, now going up to 4-story buildings with, you know, retail on the first floor, you know, office being on the levels above. You know, that's just one component to Prairie Trail as a whole, because then you have other nodes like the Heritage District that's all along South Ankeny Boulevard, but other people would know, you know, where the Prairie Trail Hy-Vee is when that went in, and we know one of the first stores of that size here, the new models back when. And then you've got that Plaza Shops is more your neighborhood commercial. So, you know, I think what's nice about Prairie Trail, so that would make it a little bit different than Uptown, is Uptown you have a handful of different owners, property owners there. So everyone cohesively trying to work together, you know, maybe not everyone has the same vision, but I think it also makes it unique and fun. But then when you go to Prairie Trail, I mean, you've got one main developer and owner behind all of it. Of course, some stuff has sold here or there and been developed by other people, but you have the vision that you can really make sure that everything is being fulfilled the way that it needs to be, and can really be strategic on, you know, what are you trying to fulfill here? What are the voids in Ankeny? What do the people want? And be a little bit more selective about, okay, maybe we can hold off on something right now and maybe not fill this space or sell this lot just yet, because I just don't think it's the right fit, to really make sure that, you know, Prairie Trail is left behind that legacy that, you know, the Albaugh family has wanted to have here. So we have, go ahead.
Let me ask you this, Meredith, what's the one type of retailer that you're trying to get into the district that people are asking for?
It's a long list.
just
yes. I would say definitely, I mean, that's tough, but I'd say definitely something that has a little bit more of that entertainment, interactive, we'll call it entertainment component, where, you know, you have the socialization aspect of it, along with also just your traditional food and beverage component to it, I think is definitely something that, you know, it's not, you know, having to select one thing. Some people can go run off, maybe their kids go run off, or friends and family, hey, I want to go play a game, and others don't. I think that social entertainment aspect is something that we're missing, but might be coming soon.
Oh, we'll have to be
Yeah.
talking to you really soon. Okay, thank you. So Jennifer, Waukee, I know for years people in Waukee have been wanting a Target, and last year we learned that Target was indeed coming to the community. Sort of describe where Target will be located and what other types of developments are expected to pop up around it.
Well, Target yes, we're all excited about Target, and that was a very big announcement for Waukee. But Target is located right along Alice's Road, almost right on the corner of just south of Hickman. So yeah, we're excited for that development. It's a 62-acre development. It's currently, we currently have a Hyper Energy there, a Tommy's Car Wash, and an LOF Express. But that development also includes, well, it will include over 250,000 square feet of retail space, which will, some of the great things that Meredith already talked about will include, you know, more shopping, more food and drink, beverage, entertainment type options for residents and visitors alike. But certainly one important component for the city in our conversations with the developer was to have that lifestyle piece and to really make it that type of lifestyle center to keep people there and have something for our visitors to enjoy as well, visitors and residents alike to enjoy. So there will be a 7-acre lake, bike trails that will connect to the regional trail system. There will be an amphitheater for entertainment in that center as well. We'll have an ice skating rink, a small playground, and some opportunity for games, a little game center as well. So really a nice entertainment center.
So Jennifer, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No worries.
Why is it important to sort of integrate those types of lifestyle things into a center, a retail center like this?
I think for the reason I picked my the word that I picked in terms of experience focused. I mean, I think people are looking for, I think retailers in particular, they're looking for an experience for consumers, for customers, to keep them, you know, there, to have an experience when they come to shop, when they come to dine. We want to keep them in that space, spending money, but also to connect them to the community. Overall, we want the community to be connected to our business owners. So I think it's really important for the city of Waukee and of course the businesses that are locating in our community as well. We look at it as more of a community center, a lifestyle center, to make sure that we have a placemaking component as part of these larger retail centers that we are including in our community. So I think it's a high priority for our city council and I would imagine for others that are building these types of centers as well.
And let's move a little to the south, talk what's going on in the Keytown Loop.
Yeah, the Keytown Loop, as many know, is home to the venue that will be managed and operated by Live Nation. It's a 3,500 seat capacity entertainment venue, and that's anticipated to be completed this fall. And we hope, fingers crossed, that concerts will be taking place this fall as well. It's pretty exciting for Waukee. Other things that have been announced that are in that entertainment district are a McDonald's, another retail center. Of course, the groundbreaking has occurred for the Aloft Hotel, 127 room hotel. There's also another hotel that will be coming up, and that's a Home2 Suites. So that'll be much needed in that area, and also the city of Waukee, of course, in general. So more things. They'll also have a financial institution that will be providing naming rights for the venue. So that hasn't been announced yet, but we know that financial institution will also find a home within the entertainment district as well. So more will be coming. We do know there will be a restaurant, potentially that's coming up that will be more of a brewery type option. So we're excited for some of those announcements to roll out in the near future.
And how long do you think, given today's economic climate and who knows what it's going to be like tomorrow, for that area to sort of build out?
That's certainly hard to say. We've had some things take a little bit longer. There's things that were in the pipeline continue to build and develop. But certainly there's a few things that I would say maybe have taken a little bit longer, not necessarily press pause, but are maybe thinking a little bit and taking some time to make some decisions. But that's difficult to say. I mean, I can tell you what's in our development agreement, but certainly that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to happen, maybe 10 years, maybe a little bit longer, but certainly that's a difficult question to answer, I think.
All right, thank you. So we've been talking about retail in the suburbs. Let's move to Des Moines. Lauren, can you provide us sort of an overview of what's been going on along Grand Avenue and Ingersoll Avenues? You're on mute.
You'd think I'd have this figured out by now. Yeah, so compared to the suburbs, developing these sort of like older neighborhoods provides its own set of unique challenges, but we've got a lot of really great, exciting developments happening here on the avenues. So I'll just give you a quick rundown of some of the more exciting ones you should see popping up fairly soon. So east to west, renovations are underway on the former Howard Johnson Hotel, which is on Grand Avenue. Christensen development is going to bring it back to its sort of like mid-century modern glory. It'll have a pool and a restaurant and a bar. And this will be a first for our district to have a boutique hotel. It'll bring a lot of really great foot traffic to the neighborhood. And they're hoping to be open maybe this time next year. Star Lofts, sort of across the street on Ingersoll. That's on the site of the former Star gas station. So really a transformational project for the corridor. And that's going to be mixed use, retail on the bottom, apartments on top. They've gotten a lot of really great interest for the retail spaces there. Hopefully those would be open around the end of 2024. If you keep going down the street, renovations were recently completed at 515 28th. Most people know that as the home of Chain and Spoke, which is part coffee shop, part bike shop. That's gotten a lot of great buzz. There's still quite a bit of retail space available in that building. It's absolutely stunning. It was a former industrial use brought back to life by another local developer, Randy Reichart. When you go to Chain and Spoke, you can't help but Instagram because it's just so beautiful in there and it really creates like an experience rather than just going to a coffee shop. And finally, if you head further west, Oak Park Restaurant is starting to take shape. That's going to be a high-end restaurant that's really going to complement some of the other great dining that we have on the corridor. I know I'm biased, but I think we've got some of the best dining on Ingersoll Avenue in the whole city. So I think that'll be a great new restaurant because it'll bring some of that momentum that we have sort of seen concentrated around like the 28th to 31st area further west on the street. So we're really excited for all those projects to really take shape in the next year or two.
Great. And then, so one of the things we've seen is some streetscape going on and addition of bike lanes. Talk a little bit about the importance of sort of connecting one place to another.
Yeah, if you haven't been to Ingersoll lately, maybe you've been avoiding it because of all the construction, please come back. We'd love you to come check out our newly completed streetscape. You can see the entire vision from MLK to 28th Street on both sides of the street. So what that means is we've got wide sidewalks, we've got planter beds, we've got seasonal urns. Then you have the protected bike lanes, which are the first of its kind in the city. So it's really a model for hopefully future neighborhoods in Des Moines. It's absolutely beautiful, especially now that it's all done.
And how is that going to help drive retail in that area?
Yeah. So I think the streetscape is a huge motivator for developers to come to Ingersoll. We hear that Jake Christensen said he picked this hotel project because of its location on Ingersoll. I know when I travel, I want to stay in hotels that are within walking distance to some really cool stuff. And so I think people who stay at that hotel will be within walking distance of some great retailers and restaurants. I think it's a motivator for people to move here to the neighborhood. I live in the neighborhood and it's great that I can walk to some of my favorite restaurants And retailers, Kuuku mentioned that more people are working from home. They're spending their money within their neighborhoods. And I think the streetscape, which provides a really beautiful, great experience, is a motivator to walk or bike rather than hop in my car. And the streetscape itself, the raised protected bike lanes, it's incredible. You can get now from downtown to Grays Lake, all the way out to the Bill Riley Trail, all on these like beautiful protected bike lanes. So I just think it's nothing but positive for the district.
Great, thank you. So Chris, a key retail area in the suburbs has been University Avenue, which is bordered by Clive and West Des Moines, and Valley West Mall is there, University Park Shopping Center. Both of those retail centers have struggled of late. The two cities recently completed a study of the area, and Confluence was heavily involved with that study. Sort of give us an overview of what that study found and what are some of the next steps going on.
Great, Kathy, thank you for that. So this was a really great, exciting project for us to be a part of. I have to give a lot of credit and kudos to the elected officials and staff of both Clive and West Des Moines as two organizations that came together realizing they want to get ahead of, in fact, this was pre-COVID even, get ahead of changes they were seeing along the University Avenue corridor to keep it relevant and viable. And so really do have to give them credit for having some forward thinking on, let's analyze what's going on and let's try to set the path for the future to try to maintain its viability. And just even a little more background, I'm from the area. I grew up in the area, so that this university corridor was my retail area that young Chris went to the movie theater and the restaurants and all the other retail spaces. And so I've seen it just change in my lifetime, of course. And so the first step in this larger study was a detailed market analysis. What that market analysis was able to show us is that there is a strong retail trade area, that there is strong demand. It is just changing. And so right now, you see a lot of success. There's a lot of positive activity. A lot of the existing retail centers, those owners have done a great job of re-tenant spaces, redeveloping, readapting. In particular, I'm thinking Clock Tower Square and Governor Square. Both two different types of re-tenanting, but did a great job on that. Even down the corridor farther, there's even new construction. On the Clive side, they've had some successes. So it's good to see the positive, but really what the study showed us is there's still more office space, more vacant office space and large box retail space than long-term demand can support or long-term demand can fill, or at least fill within a reasonable time period. So it's time to rethink some of those spaces. In fact, what we ended up coming up with is the thought process that this is an area ripe for an infusion of residential. There's very little residential in the university corridor itself, generally south of University Avenue down to 235. It's a office business park retail center, and that we have an opportunity to push in a bunch of much needed multifamily housing at all different price points, workforce housing, affordable housing, even higher end condos. And this will have really a twofold impact. One, it'll take down space that's just not maybe as viable for office and retail, but then infuse new customers into this area. Or let's let our employees be a lot closer to work, which is definitely something that employers are looking at, is how close can my employees be to my business center. And so that's really what this plan showed, is the area is strong and healthy, but we got to adapt and change, and pushing retail or residential development might be that thing. And so in this plan, it has some strategies for the cities to consider incentives, assistance, and even just being very adaptable in their own zoning regulations. And it's been fun to kind of see different things the communities are moving forward on. The one thing we did hear from a lot of the property owners is that they do need some assistance, some consideration for things that cause cost. The rent, there is demand in the area, because we're seeing vacant spaces filled and activated, but they're needing to spend money to change out space, renovate space, or they can't quite get the rent rates that maybe we get in Grand Prairie Parkway, or in Kettlestone or in Jordan Creek area. that they've got to be a little more competitive on price, but their costs are the same. It doesn't matter. And so that was another big consideration of the plan is what can we do to be flexible and really promote that redevelopment and infill development.
So what are the next steps?
Yeah, so the next steps probably never stop. This will be a continuing thing going long into the future, because like I even said before, I think we don't really even realize all the changes that may happen. And so I think University Park Shopping Center is an example, as is Valley West Mall. Those are two of maybe the more particularly challenging properties, but they're also two great opportunities. So really next step, my hope is that the properties involved, as well as both communities, actively work with each other to figure out what's the great big thing that can happen in University Park Shopping Center. What's the next great big thing that can happen within the Valley West Mall property?
Okay, great, thanks. So Kara, sort of provide us with an overview of what's been occurring in the Highland Park Business District.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy. We've had a lot of businesses move, a lot of small local businesses move in the last year, which has been really great. A lot of the buildings have been renovated in the district. Joe Cordero did like that old bank building, which is really beautiful now. So the Collective Art Terrarium has moved in there. Several of the spaces have built out. We have more businesses coming, restaurants coming in. The old Frenchway building has a brewery coming, so the area has needed more restaurants. We've had Chuck's, we've had the bakery, you know, those are old staples for the area, but we need more. So
and what will those restaurants mean to other businesses like your coffee shop?
That will be huge for us, because something we have wanted to build up is more of a nightlife. You know, our customers want nighttime hours, but it's difficult for small businesses like ours to make that financially profitable. It's just not sustainable for us. And hopefully with the addition of these restaurant businesses, we can sustain more of a nightlife there. So, you know, we have hopefully a ramen place coming, this new brewery. I met with somebody last week who's wanting to do a bar that would have half dry cocktails. So there's a variety of things coming. There's still you know, there's another building across the street that's in the process of doing historical renovation. Another building down the street that's doing things. We have the Riverview stage right down 6th Avenue that is getting ready to kick off their summer programming with 3 events tomorrow night, which will be wonderful. So many great things happening this summer.
Okay.
A lot of good stuff.
Yeah. And so let's move on to Kuuku. Talk about you're the owner of Mars Cafe, which is a popular shop in Drake neighborhood. Tell us sort of what's going on in the Drake business area and sort of how Mars Cafe fits in.
So something that we've seen over the last few years is an increasing need for true third spaces. And the idea of a third space is first space being home, second space being work, in a place that's a little more neutral. And Mars has served that for quite a few years. And the hope is to be able to bring community together. As far as the Drake neighborhood is concerned, broadly speaking, we've seen a lot of investment in cultural endeavors, which has been incredibly impactful to retailers up and down the street. I think last year, there's significant investments in art projects, sidewalk art projects in the neighborhood, and it pulled people to the neighborhood. There's something about being in a cool neighborhood that leads to increased sales, right? Leads to increased profits also, because you don't have to invest as much in marketing. You're a little more reliant on pedestrian traffic, people walking up and down. And we are seeing more of that in the Drake neighborhood. There was a weekend a couple of weeks ago where I was out for dinner, grabbed dinner at Lucky Horse, was able to pop over to XBK, which is a venue for a show, and popped over to Lefty's, another venue for another show in a single night. There are not a lot of neighborhoods where you can experience that. And it's nice to see that develop in the Drake neighborhood. And even around that, there's this concept and idea of a district. And we have Ingersoll as a perfect example. The work that's happening there is incredible, where you can go without a plan and spend the entire day there. And we need more of that around downtown. We need more of that in our neighborhoods.
So you're also heavily involved with the Greater Des Moines Music Coalition and the Music Cities Task Force. So explain a little bit about why music and retail development are, or they're either are connected or can be connected. How do those two relate to each other?
They're intrinsically connected. So the Des Moines Music Coalition, we put on 8035 every year, and we know the economic impact of festivals like 8035. We know that people are flying in, people are driving in, people are staying in Des Moines. We know that people are spending money at restaurants in Des Moines who would have been spending it in Omaha and other cities. As far as music is concerned, on the more local level, again, it's that trying to create a cool neighborhood, right? You want to be able to go out and have experiences that maybe were unplanned. If we're able to create more spaces where people can showcase your skills, like with Mars, we started to do a lot more music programming because we want people to have the expectation of being able to go out and engage with music, and that is a draw for people. That's bringing people into our neighborhoods and spending money. In the music cities, in the report, something that's incredibly powerful was that we were seeing a generation of, I think, about $170 million from music to the local Des Moines economy. And that's a really, really powerful number. Again, before a show, people are usually grabbing dinner. After a show, people are usually grabbing drinks. So people are just constantly spending, and the multiplier around that is it's incredibly high.
And then you're also involved with the redevelopment of the North Des Moines City Hall building. Can you provide us with any updates on that?
We're really, really pushing. One of the great things about Des Moines is some of our beautiful historic buildings. We're a little landlocked, so as far as growth is concerned, we can't grow out as much as far as the city of Des Moines is concerned. So we're investing a lot more heavily in restoring and rehabbing and renovating some of our historic buildings, and that's what's happening with the City Hall building. It's a 134-year-old building, first opera house in Iowa, and it's been sitting empty for a couple of years. With developing a project like that, something that we know is that by the time we're done with a project, we would have spent more on the project than its value. So what we're working on is bridging that gap. What we're working on is working with the State Historic Preservation Office to ensure that the rehab, it is a historic rehab. It's not just slapping on new materials. It's ensuring that we are respecting the character of the building.
What sort of businesses or retailers might be located in it?
So we have an LOI for a restaurant on the first floor. In the basement, we're going to do an intimate music venue, a 40 person music venue, because we know that it's necessary for the corridor. With the town hall, it's located in one of the most diverse neighborhoods in the entire state. As far as that neighborhood is concerned, it's 30% Black, 30% Hispanic, Latino, 30% white, 10% Asian. You don't see those numbers in a lot of different places in Des Moines. So the expectation and the hope with the project is to create a space that people in that neighborhood can gather and exchange culture. I talk about what defines the city, what defines the neighborhood, and I think it's the culture of the people within the neighborhood, and we have that. So we're just trying to provide a space where that is showcased.
I'm looking forward to it. So Kara and Kuuku, let's talk a little bit about, as the owners of coffee shops, what keeps you up at night when it comes to operating your business? Kara, let's start with you.
Staffing. That's been something this spring we've struggled a lot with.
keeping or attracting or both?
Attracting applicants isn't a problem. It's really kind of managing staff and, I'm on a board at Grandview, like a business advisory council, and, it's not even just like like a retail industry. It's everybody. It doesn't matter what sector you're in. I'm not old by any means, but the younger generation just has a completely different approach to work than I'm used to. We just grew up in a different time. And so, coming on time, doing things while you're there, it's just different. So we've changed how we're hiring and doing things. So
what are you doing though then that what one or two things that maybe people that are listening in, what tips might you have for attracting or keeping workers?
So some other small business owners suggested to me is doing a phone interview and then doing a working interview. And the working interview kind of consists of having them come in after the phone interview for a couple hours and having them work alongside you, and you pay them. And you can kind of both decide if you're a good fit for each other. And honestly, that has been great because somebody I would have hired based on the phone interview. And then they came in and there were many reasons why I couldn't hire them, but I wouldn't have known that based on the phone interview. And it was the best money I've ever spent just to not hire them. So
that's a good piece of advice. I think other people might follow you that. Kuuku, what keeps you up at night?
A big part of it is staffing also. We've seen a little bit of evolution over the last year, which has been great, where we start to see a lot more experienced candidates coming through. We're having to rethink incentive structures and rethink what people care about. Or something that we've been trying out is just a lot more transparency and helping people understand that they're part of something bigger than themselves. And we're testing it out, right? Because transparency can be overwhelming sometimes, right? Not having the full scope of what's going on. But what I'm recognizing recently is that people appreciate that. People appreciate the openness, and just the conversations are leading to less turnover. We went through a period of time where turnover was incredibly aggressive. We'd train someone and they wouldn't show up for their first shift, which is incredibly expensive. But again, things are evolving slowly, and we are trying to figure out how to meet our staff where they are and figure out how to provide flexible options to keep them. Another big thing is safety also. We've gone through some instances of not actual safety concerns, but the perception of safety within the different neighborhoods that our coffee shops are in. So how do we provide that support system that's necessary for our staff and customers? How do we show indicators of safety? Because you look at the numbers, it's things have gone a little worse, but it's still not bad. Des Moines is still a really, really safe city. But the thing about being a safe city is if there's any instance, it's magnified. So how do we keep on reinforcing that story that, hey, like, this is a safe space?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that too. I mean, especially because I think Kuuku is similar. Like, we're both people who have inclusive spaces. And when you are talking about social issues, I think you can become more of a target. And when you're having employees in that kind of space, you do need to present options that are like, okay, we do care about your safety and we're putting you before the public or what can happen. So, and being a partially woman-owned business, Kuuku's a person of color, like, you have to think about putting the safety measures in place. So what does that look like? So we're thinking about that all the time, unfortunately. I mean, the world is a crazy place.
Yeah, I had a lot fewer gray hairs before coffee, Kara.
Yes, I have a lot of gray hairs myself. I mean, being a business owner is no joke. It's, as everybody here knows, it's a lot of work.
So Lauren, what do some of the business owners that you talk with, what are they saying about the difficulty in hiring and retaining employees and the safety issue?
Yeah, I think it does vary business to business. On the avenues, like we're lucky to have some businesses that have really consistent staffing. You see the same faces behind the counter for years, decades, even on some businesses. But it is still impacting some businesses in the neighborhood. I know of a few restaurants, for example, that are still operating on different staffing models and different hours since the pandemic happened, or they've told me that they've struggled to find or keep good employees. I think in our current situation where we might have like more, like employees have a little more power to choose where they want to work since they're in demand, it's important that we create like spaces where they want to work. So I think that's where the safety component really comes in. And I hope that the avenues, its connectivity, its proximity to so many other great businesses makes it an attractive place where people want to work.
Great. And then, so Jennifer, from a city's perspective, how is there anything cities can do to help business owners find and keep workers?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on what Lauren alluded to, what some of the challenges truly are, and some of the things that, you know, we hear from employers are certainly employees want to be closer to their place of employment, and that might be a challenge based on their wage. And we know that we need to provide in the city of Waukee more options for housing. And sometimes that means, you know, more multifamily to provide more affordable options. The city right now is working on an affordable housing project, but we want to make sure that those affordable housing options and just housing options in general are more diverse, and our employers can provide those opportunities for their employees. And so that's I think a big one, you know, to make sure that those, and I don't think that's new to anyone, you know, in the Des Moines metro area. So that's really important. But then also the city in general, you know, just making it a place that people want to be and want to live. And so continuing to work on the amenities and have Waukee a place where employers want to be as well.
Okay, thanks. So Chris, let's sort of change a little bit here. How is designing space for retailers sort of changed in the past 5 years?
Yeah, and even if we go a little bit further past beyond 5 years, it used to be, I just need a big street, a busy street, a parking lot, and a building. Now we really need a cohesive development that's an attraction, that's got more than one thing going on, and then heavily amenitized outdoor space. So that's gathering spaces. It's places people want to be, really reinforcing what a lot of the panelists have already said. It's more than one thing you're going to do. It's an activity. It's an entertainment. In fact, we're trying to design spaces where it's a park once and then walk the entire area, whether it's a neighborhood or a new retail space, retail development. And frankly, that truism kind of falls into office space and multifamily. They're demanding to be competitive, you know, activated, programmed, nice outdoors gathering space, amenities, things like that to really make their property stand out and be attractive to prospective tenants as well as customers.
Great, thanks. And then Meredith, you talk to a lot of people in the retail business, obviously, that you're trying to get to sign leases. What are they looking for, and sort of how is what those retailers are looking for changed over the last few years?
So honestly, I mean, I would just say it's truly builds on what Chris just shared, is that is becoming more and more important to these retailers. I was going to say something along the same lines of, you know, at first it was, you know, you want visibility, and, you know, that's the number one thing. But now, I mean, it's really evolved into, and especially, you know, with pandemic and even pre that, but it's like having all these businesses work together and, you know, synergize in, you know, maybe create their own events, or, and, you know, also, you know, just to keep the bustle going, and maybe, you know, with that and those interactions, you know, they get some new exposure to other people and by, you know, other businesses and vice versa. But I think also what really, you know, leads to that is wanting to also know that, you know, the landlords that you do business with, that you go lease space from, that, you know, they care about you too, versus just, you know, collecting a check of your rent every month, but really being like, how can I help you? In having someone who is hands-on, cares about it, wants to help support the, you know, the whole development as a whole, and just really be involved instead of just, you know, hey, I'm just here and you guys are doing great, but really helping everyone. I think really it's everyone realizes like it's a partnership and it goes both ways. Like it's a true blue relationship. And so the amenities, absolutely, events, a place where it draws people, but then also just knowing that like the people that you're going to be around, the different businesses, that everyone is open-minded and it's like, hey, how can we, you know, help each other? I think is just really important. It's just that neighborhood community aspect of it.
Great, thank you. Great discussion today.
I will take it here from you, Kathy, and we are just about out of time, but we are going to give the panelists an opportunity to give a final closing thought today. Before they do that and while they think about what they'd like to leave with you today, just want to share a couple things that are coming up that you might want to be aware of. Some of our next events that are coming up, Innovation Iowa, we're going to be changing the format of that. It's been an unveiling of a magazine in the past. We're still going to have the magazine to unveil, but we're also going to be hosting a nice discussion that's going to be over the lunch hour on July 18th. That'll be opening in late June. Then at the beginning of our Envision Iowa series, we're going to have the first of our 3 think tanks. It's a fun, interactive type of event that helps us think about economic development across the state. Would love to have you part of that. Similarly, that registration will be opening up in about 3 weeks. And of course, we talked a little bit earlier. This is the first of a series, Project 515. Our next one will be on August 24th, and we're going to be talking about office. In April, the Business Record members received the 7th edition of our annual real estate magazine. Senior staff writer Kathy Bolton, who led the conversation fantastically today, worked on that magazine along with her whole team. That came out in April at our annual real estate event. You can check that out at businessrecord.com/AREM. And of course, if you want to stay plugged in every week to what's going on in commercial real estate, today's discussion is just scratching the surface of the types of things that are being discussed and written about each week in our commercial real estate e-newsletter. It's free, comes out on Wednesdays. It features exclusive news and updates from Kathy Bolton and others. You need to be reading it each week to stay up and stay in the loop. So you can sign up at businessrecord.com/sign up. And of course, if you have any feedback or story ideas, you can always reach out my way or reach out to Kathy. We'd love to take those. That's how we get the great stories that we're able to then feature in our products. So I want to give the panelists each a chance. Keep it nice and brief. We got about 15 to 20 seconds each. So let's go right around the horn and start. And we'll start with Lauren.
Oh, geez. Okay. I guess I'll put a plug in for Ingersoll Live. It was mentioned a few of us have events that sort of showcase the strengths of our district and invite people to come shop and eat. So yeah, Ingersoll Live, August 26th. It's our 19th year. Music, food, fun, family friendly.
Thanks, Lauren. Jennifer.
I guess I'll just mention the downtown triangle in Waukee. We're the only triangle in the state of Iowa, and everyone hears a lot about new development in Waukee, but the city is also very focused on some redevelopment in downtown Waukee. And just stay tuned for more information about that. But we're looking to redevelop one very vacant building for a long time, so we're excited about that in the future.
Thanks, Jennifer. Meredith.
So, I mean, I would just say, you know, there's obviously from my retail side of it, you know, on the brokerage, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff that's coming that, you know, isn't fully public yet, or we know that's in the works and hasn't been solidified just yet. But just, you know, I'd more so encourage everyone to just continue to support all these, you know, the businesses and the developments that we have. You know, you constantly hear people talk about, you know, they want more, but then some of the struggles of, you know, also hearing that then people aren't necessarily supporting it. So it's like, well, you wanted it, so support it. So I just say, just keep, you know, going out there and, you know, keeping things local. And then also just on that is that not every franchise name that you see is owned by someone else or a corporation. That franchises are also can be local owners too.
Thanks, Meredith. Kuuku?
I'm just going to end with a fact. There's nothing like too much coffee.
I concur. Kara, I think that leads a nice segue into you as well.
Yeah, I'm just really excited about all the great things happening in our city. I actually just got my commercial real estate license because I've just been love working with so many small business owners as a result of our community involvement with the shop and stuff. So just encourage people. I actually love what Meredith just said. That's actually a really good thing to think about. I hadn't really thought about people supporting franchises, thinking about locally owned like that. Keep supporting local. We do have a north side market coming up on July 9th on the north side, but yeah, I'm just excited about what's happening in the city, and thank you for including me today.
All right, Chris, wrap us up.
All right, I would encourage everyone to explore our metro. We have so many great outdoor public spaces, retail centers throughout our entire greater metro area. Pick a new one, go park the car, walk the area, go to more than one business, go eat, go shop. Meredith kind of stole it. I was going to say shop local, so I changed that a little bit. So shop local and yeah, the franchises too. But really, that's how we can help grow our metro and really help advertise ourselves just by us being bold enough to not just go to where we always go try a new place out.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you to all of our panelists today for participating and sharing a little bit of your insights. Again, I want to thank everybody for attending. And as a reminder, we make this series free and available to the community thanks to the support of Midwest One and DLR Group. Big thank you to our sponsors as well. So one final thank you to our panelists and of course to Kathy for steering the ship today. This is again the first of a series of events. We hope to see you back for two in the future in August and again in December. Lastly, my name is Chris Konetsky and we're here working every day to help you and your business do business better. We're here and always available for your feedback and for your story ideas. If we can ever be of any help to you or your business as you move forward, please feel free to reach out our way. Thank you and have a great afternoon.